This episode includes discussions around eating disorders. If this is a tough topic for you, please listen with care or feel free to step away. Welcome to the Leader More podcast. Our motive is to pass on what we've found helpful over the years through leading teams, running operations, and dealing with life's challenges. We hope you enjoy. My pleasure to welcome Nikki Cummings and also Carly Shott. So, episode 23, you were here last in November. Been a busy couple of months.
Lots of change.
New gym for you. The acrobats are going strong.
Yeah. All good. We made the Australian team, so that's a win.
Congratulations.
Lots more comps ahead, but all positive.
Yeah, that's excellent. So, state gymnastics, coach and gymnast. Mainly it was the tumbling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So strong background in that, teaching kids and loving that sort of stuff is your background. And a pleasure to have Nikki here. Carly's raves about you, and you've been part of, I suppose, her life with Carly's sort of nutrition and everything like that, and helping and guiding her. So really appreciate you being here today, Nikki. So,
Good to be here. Thanks for the invite.
No, my pleasure. So Optimal Intake, South Fremantle.
Yep.
So you do a lot of stuff with supporting and guiding everyone and anyone, isn't it? Adults, adolescents.
Yeah. And mainly now I've moved my business into working primarily eating disorders, disordered eating, anyone who wants to improve their relationship with food. That's what I'd say. We were talking at the beginning, I like to describe myself as a food therapist. That's basically what I do. Therapy around food, trying to understand it a bit more and probably understanding your body a little bit more as well.
Yeah. And just the emotional triggers.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's probably a big part of it is, why that's changed, in a person when you're young. You don't think about food. Your parents feed you food. You eat it, you go on back to play, and you come back when you're hungry again and you eat the next meal. Whereas, we get into now, I think it gets really complicated because so many people hate their bodies, and young people hear that and then they start questioning, or people might even be commenting about food. Oh, that's bad food. That's good. So young people hear that, and that can be the start of sort of bit of a disruption with how they relate to food and what they choose to eat.
Yeah, well, I can relate. If I'm low on mood or I've had a bad day, I don't mind a bit of ice cream just to get me on through, like that. It's pretty common, I imagine. Yeah.
And in a way, that's not a bad thing.
Oh, really? I can do it more?
Absolutely. But the damage comes when other people maybe comment. I mean, can you imagine, you're having that ice cream to boost your mood a little bit, and then other people maybe comment and go, "You sure you should be doing that?" That's a lot of ice cream you're having there. Can you imagine then how that might start playing on someone's mind and change their relationship with that ice cream?
Yeah. And at a formative years point of view too, even worse.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you're a young kid and you don't understand good and bad food, you just eat.
No morals attached to it.
Absolutely. You just eat ice cream, you don't feel bad about it. It's just nice, and then you move on. But then when you start adding that moral value to it, it's sort of, really makes it hard for a person to then really relate to food and just freely eat food and stop when they've had enough. They might start eating behind a parent's back or those sort of behaviours.
So, Carly, I suppose this episode is a little bit your brainchild. You sort of mentioned about Nikki and the work that you've done with her.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet? Was it a referral, like as in, someone word of mouth or anything like that? Or
Yeah, my GP referred me, but it took me a little bit to book in.
Are you giving some constructive feedback here on booking process? Or?
No, very good. It takes me a long time to actually decide to go on, or especially with these things, because trust, big things. So yeah, once I decided, it was great. I just had to make the decision.
Take the plunge.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I imagine you deal with that heaps, hey? Like just.
Very normal, probably.
Completely. Yeah, I can often receive a referral from the GP, and I will normally reach out. Sometimes someone can avoid me for a little while, maybe. I'm not saying Carly did this, but the emails might be not replied to, or the texts don't come back, and sort of leave it. And that's why it's important for me to follow up. Just sort of, still here if you want to book in. So sometimes, it can take months for someone actually to make that booking, which is fine. Like it's good for them to be in the right space and
be ready.
Be ready. Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, because what you hear as well, you think you could think you're going to the food police, which you're not. Or you could think like, it's like your perspective of going.
Am I going to be
or you
judged?
might not want to change or challenged.
Yeah. Well, what was it for you then? Like,
I did not want to be challenged.
Okay.
I'm very stubborn. Not stubborn. I don't know. I don't think. We're not sure. It was a long time ago. I was a bit just like apprehensive. Yeah. New, change, different.
Yeah. Well, meeting someone new, right? Like I sort of find that with networking, like who likes networking, right? It can be quite difficult. But yeah, meeting someone for the first time can be difficult. And then secondly, about some confronting things, about some habits that you may not want to be, open to changing,
Yeah. Or don't think you can change either. I think that's another thing.
Yeah, because I think a lot of behaviours that people might do, it serves a purpose for them. So it's like a safety net in a way. So are they ready to give away that safety net? That's what recovery is working on. So you can see why it would be hard.
Yeah. And is that just framing that differently, Nikki? Like, I imagine it's different for each person.
It's very different, but I guess, it is. I think it's acknowledging. I think that's a big part, is acknowledging it is serving a purpose rather than just going, sorry.
Laughing because you're agreeing, relating.
I'm good.
I did go like 2 years and be like, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Not me though.
Yeah.
But so I think that's important. You also don't want to acknowledge it's scary.
Absolutely.
Problem. No, I don't have a problem.
Yeah. Well, admitting that, but then also taking away whatever it's providing for you as well.
Take away the control.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I think you mentioned that in the episode, actually, when we sat down. It's just that control aspect of it.
Yeah, well, food's not really about food. Right. So, it's more about feeling, I think. Not that I have any, but
Yeah, but that's a good point, right? Is like, okay, well, everything. Playing football when I was younger, my dream was to play professional rugby league, and I had a contract with a team in Sydney. And I had this coach that was pretty abrupt and wasn't the best, wasn't great with his time, giving you time and all that sort of stuff. And if I had a bad day at training, I would drive. I had about an hour commute back, so I would drive back. And if it was bad, I would be like, "F you! I'm going to the server. I'm getting a pack of Tim Tams, and I'm going to eat." And that's what I'm going to do. Because I'm sort of rebelling against that, and that was my way to do that. I could control that, I suppose, whereas all the other stuff I didn't understand or didn't agree with and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know.
The same can go the opposite. Like, we had a bad session, don't eat. You can go, I don't deserve to eat. Or I should let me eat because screw you. I guess depends on your personality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly right.
That move into sort of working more with eating disorders and things like that, was that just, you found that there was something that you really saw a need for, and you just you could see the effect positively that you were having?
I'll tell you a funny story. Well, it's not a funny story, but how I got into this. So when I was doing dietetics, at Curtin Uni, my passion was always sports dietetics. That's the only thing I ever wanted to do. And yeah, when I finished my degree, I was in that phase as in, oh, what do I do? There weren't any jobs around when I'd finished uni. And then, blow me, we were looking at the papers in those days, it's a long time ago, for jobs. Blow me, there was a job for a food service dietitian at the Australian Institute of Sport, which in those days, so backtrack a little bit, my background is in catering when I lived in the UK. Then I did dietetics. I looked at this job description and someone had written a job description for me. It was incredible moment. So that was my first job. So I went to Canberra and worked at the AIS as food service and then sports dietitian as well. So that was my passion. I got to the job I really wanted to do. But in those days, I thought it was quite straightforward. It was quite disciplined, how you eat. That's a pointy end of sport. So they want discipline,
do as they're told, essentially. There's a big carrot there.
You would sort of help with, formulating, what they need to eat for their sport. And that was the start, though, of the linking with the brain, because I saw some athletes would come through and just say, oh, Nikki, I need to make weight for whatever sport they were doing. Can you help me eat even less than I'm eating? And they were already eating basically nothing. And I think that sparked something in me. Oh my goodness, like the brain can control, your intake down to this ridiculously small amount of food. And I think I've always had that. So I've loved that side of things, how the brain influences what, when, how we eat. Yeah, so I've always had that, and then sort of came back to Perth, and I've done lots of different things in dietetics, but I think this is now sort of, I can't remember how long ago now, moved my practice just into more the eating disorder area, because I think that's my passion. That's my real passion.
You do a bit of stuff still with athletes as well.
Yeah.
Full case in point, but then also too with
Other athletes.
So I've done a lot more sub-elite work. I used to do triathlons myself, and I think I worked with a lot of athletes, more one-on-one. And then sort of last year got the opportunity to work with the Australian artistic swimming team. So I'm now the sports dietitian for that team, which has been
great,
fantastic fun.
The stuff there is like, is it just about fueling? Like in a situation like that, is that just like you're trying to get across some, I suppose, healthy and positive messages about nutrition, and not so much around, hey, you can't eat this, or I've got to go on a diet, or I've got to lose weight? And is that the...
Absolutely. That would probably be my biggest thing, is the fuel. Let's get the fueling right, because, these girls are training hours and hours. So they're really, I didn't know that much about artistic swimming, and it's changed the name, by the way. It used to be synchronised swimming.
Oh, okay.
That's where it's come from. They're going to the gym, they're rushing back in their car to get back into the pool. There is a huge requirement for fuel in these athletes. So I think probably what I feel has been my first role is just to try and instill that message that, you need to really be fueling up to do this sport. Yeah. So no, it's not about dieting or anything like that.
I'd imagine too is like, emphasis on sports about, making weight, losing weight, being a certain shape, and all that sort of stuff, because your sport requires it. Mix that in there with a young athlete that's going through some difficult teenage years, trying to find themselves and so forth. Like, tough going, like that's probably pretty common.
Yes, I think it has to be handled very, very carefully. I think when you bring in, you bring in the angle of maybe expectations around what someone's body should look like, and that's
Aesthetics. Especially in those sports,
Yeah, gymnastics, probably artistic swimming. What else? There's... They come to mind straight away.
boxing and like those kind of
Yeah.
things. So you have to like make a weight.
Well, look, you know, my background with rugby league and those sort of sports, you know, contact and collision sports is like you've got to be a certain weight to have the momentum. So like I was always a tall, skinny kid and I needed to put on like 10, 15 kilos and got to do it quick. And I suppose too, like, so your eyes light up when you sort of when you were talking about the messaging and imagine how that comes across as important, hey?
Oh,
Like, you know, firstly the relationship you have with the person and then how they broach that subject with you.
Yeah. Or if it's even acceptable to bring it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's been huge changes. So you know, teams are writing policies about this sort of eating disorders in sports sort of area now. About just I think being really aware what's going on. I love. Can I talk about a study? I love a good study. Study. So last year, the Aspire study came out, and it's the longitudinal study that they basically sort of had about 230 athletes, and they're sort of trying to look at how maybe body image and things like that are influencing sport. But the big takeaway that I got on this was they sort of divided people into, you know, optimal eating peaking, so they're eating pretty well, then disordered eating in the middle, if you imagine, and then, you know, actually probably diagnosable eating disorder over on the right. And the outcome from that is basically the disordered eating and the eating disorder people, probably 4 out of 5 athletes would meet those two categories. So we've probably only got like 1 out of 5 in the okay eating area.
That's crazy.
So that's huge numbers.
Yeah. Probably not surprising too, really. Like,
I think athletes we don't class them as a vulnerable population, but I think they are because
they're still people.
Yeah, but also like extra vulnerable because like you're giving so much to your sport, you do anything. Vulnerable in a different way.
Yeah. You
know?
And you think some of those, the behaviours like the perfectionism, which
What's that?
and you know, and even I guess perfection even around the diet is almost praised in some areas. You know, I would imagine, you know, when someone's quite disciplined with their diet, that would come with huge praise probably from coaches, maybe other support staff. So if someone is teetering on that disordered eating, maybe eating disorder, then that's very much.
I remember struggling to write like a food diary because I couldn't write it because it wasn't perfect. Like, how do I write I can't fill the next page because I haven't done that day.
Yeah.
You know, like even that.
Even just planning it.
Yeah. You know, it's like that perfectionism.
Which, like that balance, right? Like is, you know, being stubborn, you mentioned, but you put your hand up for that. Yes, yeah. Which is a fantastic thing, right? And a lot of the reason why you've been successful in what you do and how you're driven is because of that, right? But that balance of, turning that off sometimes, and it's the same with that perfectionism is gets you results. So if I train really, really consistently and really hard and I put every effort in there, that framework gets me results. Well, that works for food too.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll do.
Yeah. But it's education, right? Like people don't realize that either. I didn't for so long. Or you think you know because of what others have told you. It's like, which source do you trust? Definitely not not always your coaches, you know? Like sometimes they don't always have your best interests at heart without them knowing because they're not educated. Like everyone's trying to get the same result, but they don't. They also need to trust someone else, which when you're a coach as well, you want that control too.
Or I think coaches maybe have had their own issues with food maybe from the past and bring that through into, you know, people they're working with possibly.
Well, what's worked for me isn't necessarily going to work for someone else, right? And that cookie cutter approach which could be there. Absolutely. With you were sort of saying about Carly taking forever to come in and see you, right, and break the ice and all that sort of stuff. Imagine you're getting a bit of a profile on someone before they really even turn up. you know, what you're sort of dealing with, because you've got some, you know, referral as such, you know, why. But like building that trust, like Carly mentioned, like how do you go about that? Is that just a time thing? Is that a...
And I think it's good to just mention that I think every person that turns up in my office has a different story. Like there isn't just, oh, someone's coming with this eating disorder, so I'm going to do this with them. You have to take the time to actually listen. You know, that's probably the biggest thing I have to do. You give them time, listen to them, let them tell their story about what's going on for them. And that's the time thing. You know, you might start off very much here and now, but often there's stuff from the past that you need to hear about, what sort of you meant that they've continued those patterns, and that probably takes time. Can't get that out all in a couple of sessions. That takes time. And
Years?
Yeah.
and
Not everyone. Not
everyone, but sometimes, I think, yeah, Carly's just told me extra little things as we've gone along, and I've thought, and I've sometimes said to you, haven't I? I've never known that in you, Carly. You know, we've been working together for years. But, you know, you're not going to put everything out there.
Yeah, and particularly if you're starting and you're going to go, oh, okay, I've got 3 sessions with Nikki, I'll get through these 3 sessions and all that sort of stuff. It's like, you know, that balance for you of trying to build that trust, but then also too to try and get some like wins for them as such. Would that be in that time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Giving a little bit of a belief that things can be different, and they're going to have to let go of some of what they're holding on to.
getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So breaking down those barriers, like
I
that's
think so.
what
Yeah.
Nikki did well, you feel?
Yeah, what did I write? I wrote this quote and it said sometimes if you can't you have to put your trust in someone else to actually heal. And I didn't really realize, or I didn't let that go enough until for a long time, I think.
With your, I suppose, your relationship with food and things like that, it was mainly based on looking a certain way, like from a sporting and gymnastics point of view, or?
I think, and also feeling right. So like you don't eat, not everyone feels like that, but I felt better. So I knew if I didn't eat, I'd feel better, but also then looking, it was all combination of things, controlling what I felt I could control.
Getting that out of people, is that pretty easy, Nikki? No. Okay. No.
I just sit there silent for so long. I just sit in silence.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, that is how some people deal with the emotions.
Yeah.
Just don't want to let them out. Yeah. Because it's been really vulnerable, isn't it?
Yeah. Vulnerable is hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had a few sessions where you haven't said,
I go home now. But I think that's when Nikki's different. Like that's when I think I learned to trust because I knew, okay, she's not going to give up on me. Right. Whereas like, okay, someone else might be like, oh, this is too hard. But Nikki's not like that. And I think that's where she's different.
Mm-hmm. So interpreting you being silent, not as, hey, I don't want anything to do with you, but hey, there's a bit going on here and I'm trying to get through it. I need help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But not everyone, I guess, can read that or see that in other people.
Yeah.
So it takes a special someone.
oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, it is. Well, finding that right person that fits.
That's the other thing.
You know, to find that first off is a cool thing. Like whether that's psychiatry, whether that's, you know, nutrition, whatever it is, a GP, like that's hard sometimes.
Yeah. I remember being in hospital and seeing another dietitian was like, ugh, what are you doing? Like, you're not Nikki. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, because you're used to one thing, it's like change is so different. No one likes change.
Yeah. And that's connection, right?
Yeah.
So getting a connection and building that. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that, isn't it? You probably imagine going through, you know, dietitian school. It's like, did you have a module on, you know, building relationships and things like that?
No. And this is what I have to say. I think one of the things you asked me was, you know, what have I changed? It's so different from what I actually learnt as a dietitian at university. It was very much just, this is what you do with someone. Almost, this is what you do to someone. Almost. You just give them instructions, and miraculously they're going to change. That's what I feel. Sorry, university. That's what I feel I learned. And yeah, I just, it was a game changer for me because I set up what was it, 2001. I set up a private practice. That was the start of optimal intake way back then. And I would just say to people, this is what you need to do. And back then, I hate to admit it because I don't do this any more, but it was very much weight loss driven. So it would be like, just do this.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Okay.
Shock.
And I was, my learning experience was for about 6 months. I worked with people doing that, and people were coming back doing everything you're saying, Nikki, it's not happening, it's not working. Oh, try a bit harder. Like, let's do it this way. I was hating it. I was absolutely hating the job I was doing, and I could see that I wasn't really building relationships with people as much as I could. And I read a book which changed my trajectory in my career, I think, called If Not Dieting, Then What? Which we'll come back to talking about maybe, the non-diet approach. And it was all about, it's more about the counselling. It's more about bringing, that relationship in. It's definitely not about weight loss, and I'm happy to talk about that if you're interested. I changed overnight. I thought this is what I've been thinking is the way to go. I don't think it's the way that I sort of was taught at university. And so I went about just slowly. I did every possible course I could think of, a lot more psychology, and just slowly changed my private practice to, and probably what I'm doing now. And it brings so much joy to me. I just love my job. Absolutely love it. And I love every client that turns up, and I love working with them because it's more building that therapeutic relationship. And I'm not there just to go, eat this for breakfast, eat this, because I know it's a lot more complex than that.
And you find it works.
Most of the time.
Compared to what you were doing though at the start, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Autonomy.
Right. Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Like, letting, not like, here, food police. No food police.
Because when they're gone, you can do what you want, right? If they're not watching.
Yeah.
And I think I was going to look back to what Carly had said about being the food police. I think that's, I do have to, sometimes, people ring and say, oh, I need to come and see you. My doctor's referred me to you. I do sometimes spend some time trying to explain to people how I work, that I'm not going to be helping them with weight loss if that's what they're thinking. And I explain why that is the case. And I do think people come to dietitians sometimes thinking we are the food police and just, with a wagging finger, which I think is so sad, because I think anyone who's doing that is just doing their clients a disservice.
Yeah, because when I think of dietitians and start doing a bit of research on, before we chat, you just have this concept in your mind that, okay, you go to a dietitian and they tell you about macros and what's in what food and what you can do here and all that sort of stuff. But then looking at your website and just talking through, with you before we started, just about your approach, it's like, it's all emotional driven. Like, it all comes from something. It's not just, oh, I don't know that ice cream is not good for me. I'll eat it. There's obviously something driving it, a craving and a need as such. Yeah. Well, that must have been cool to sort of go through that process and figure that out.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it took a while, but and then when you meet other dietitians who are sort of on the same page, then you're like, oh, thank goodness it's not just me. I don't want to be the only one working in this particular area. So yeah, that's been great.
Yeah. Which probably makes me think there's some synergies between, like, that old style, and look, I'm no gymnastics, I suppose connoisseur, but Eastern European style of, hey, this is how we do it. This is to your approach of what you do when you coach kids.
Not as authentic. It's not about, it's like the one way or the highway kind of thing. Like, this is how we do it. This has worked. So why are we changing? Whereas actually you're not looking at the long term or if it's actually working for everyone.
It becomes more about the process and not the person, right? Like that old school is, okay, well, this is what we do because this works and we've seen that it works. So this is how it goes.
Yeah.
And not necessarily working with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So no relationship building or,
Yeah.
you know, they don't have to be there. Same thing, like people are choosing to be there. That's their choice. So you're going to make it a good experience or a bad experience. It can be hard and you can put the work in, but it can still be a good experience.
Yeah.
So
That non-dieting approach you spoke about, talk to you about that.
Yeah, so there's been a lot to goes against, I think, that medical grain a little bit. But, what we firmly believe is that, if you make it all about just needing to change your weight and that's it's then going to change your relationship with food, isn't it? Because if you're just thinking, I've got to change my number when I jump on the scale, your relationship with food has to change into, I'm now, counting what I'm doing or I'm restricting in some way to drive that number down. So straight away, it's going to change how you interact with certain foods because you're going to become fearful of those bad foods, aren't you? So you're going to try and cut those out of your life. That's what most people do. So imagine then you eat that said food. How are you then going to feel about that?
Yeah.
You're going to feel really bad about it.
Guilt.
Guilt, shame, all those horrible emotions are going to come in. Trying to cut those said foods out. And very much sort of, when we try and change our weight and drop our weight, we have physiological patterns that happen to drive that person back to eating. So firstly, physiologically, we're designed to get hungry. So I don't know if you've ever tried to cut your food down and, the first thing that happens is your body goes, yes, but I'm hungry. Yes, but I'm hungry. More times than probably is normal. So what then happens? Hangry, absolutely. So then you start thinking about food more because your body's hungry. And if you're on this mission to lose weight, that's horrible. Like if you're trying to lose weight, but your body's then going, but I'm hungry all the time. And you're more likely to probably be thinking about, maybe sugary, fatty foods because they're our energy foods. So that's what the body's going to do, isn't it? It's going to tell you to look for those. So you're on a lose-lose straight away, aren't you? You're a lot more hungry and you're going for those foods that everyone's gone, don't eat. They're bad for you. It's really a recipe for disaster because then, it mucks up your hunger signals and people then can't trust them anymore. So over time, people don't know if they're hungry anymore or they're satiated. So it mucks up that signal. So if I take even a step back from that, so, what drives us knowing how much to eat is it's all hormone related. So we get little on switches that go, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat, which then guides us to know when to stop. So if we just listen to that throughout the day, that tends to lead towards a good balance with knowing how much food to eat. But that gets mucked up when we do the whole diet cycle.
Yeah. And so education on feeling those different signals, from
Definitely. Yeah, definitely is a big part of it. But that can take, even to get those signals back can take time. So you have to work firstly on building up trust around, okay, it's okay to eat. I usually do the 6 times a day type of thing, 3 main meals, 3 snacks, because that helps the body then understand that, oh, okay, I'm get food regularly. I don't have to send some weird signals here. I'm just going to bring your patterns back for hunger. And that process can take a while because if someone's already fearful of food, they're not going to just go back and go, oh yeah, Nikki, I'll just eat
6 meals a day.
I'll just eat 6 times a day, no problem.
Yeah.
building that trust that that's okay. There's a process of what we're trying to do to come back to normal eating, if we're going to call it that.
Historically, with like gymnastics, has that been like the approach, like dieting, like has been the thing?
Just restricting or the less the better, or healthy foods, but whatever that means. You know, or being lighter. So, you know, that kind of thing. Everyone's different, I guess. It's like your coaches are different, but you also have different, I think that comes down to your parents as well. And because when you're a kid, you don't really control as much. You can not eat, but you're not controlling what necessarily you're being served. So I think that's another thing. Educating parents is important.
I'm looking forward to today just to learn myself. Like I think back to my childhood and had a brother and a sister, and we would have, you know, the meat and 3 veg, right? It would be laid out and there would always be leftovers. So my brother and I would race to see who could eat the quickest so we could get more of the leftovers, right? And portion control. And I know one of the things that, you know, that you do is just around that whole binge eating disorder. Is that the correct term? Yeah. And like I read that and I mentioned to you, I think I might have some of that. Like what's going on here? But like the trend there, like I still find it now. If there's extra food there and I know it's there, I want to eat quick so I can get to that. It's like that message.
I wonder if that's also just, you know, partly that patterning. You know, you're bringing that from your childhood and what you used to do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I suppose too, it arcs back to that personality on, you know, like from a sporting point of view, it's just like all or nothing. I've got a job to do. I'm going to do it well. I'll eat this 1 liter of ice cream and I'll do it really well. Like it's going to happen. You know, and even if I know I've had enough, I'll keep going. I've got a job to do. Yeah, but it's just weird how that patterning.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, do you want to talk about binge eating disorder? Would that be a good segue?
Yes. Talk to me.
Into that, absolutely. And I think, look, it's a very serious eating disorder, just like any other eating disorder. You know, people often think of anorexia nervosa, maybe bulimia nervosa, but in fact, binge eating disorder, prevalence-wise, is higher than those two.
Okay.
Eating disorders combined.
Do you think that's because of dieting?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
I think absolutely that's fueling a lot of it. So often, so binge eating disorder, so let's step back a second. What it is to meet the diagnostic criteria is that someone's eating large amount of foods, and that's quite objectively, over, a few days, months, that sort of thing. But it brings with it a lot of guilt and shame, might be done secretively, those extra sort of things. It's not somebody who's just, say, broken a diet and eaten a bar of chocolate.
I used to think I was binging because I had a punnet of strawberries.
Yeah.
But like...
Yeah.
That's just the time, you know, like, but that's what you think. You only know what you know. People say, oh, I had a binge.
Yes.
But it's like, oh, you had 1 chocolate bar. That's not a binge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that sort of probably adds to that guilt and shame, is just the description, because, I mean, we often use that word, don't we? You know, we binge Netflix, or, you know, it's used quite a lot in our lives, but it's very serious, and it's a mental health issue, as are all eating disorders. So it needs to be taken, really, really seriously for helping people get treatment. But often like a big driver might be that somebody has not eaten adequately over the day. And then towards the end of the day, the body is looking to catch up on all that food it's missed. So that can be one of the drivers, that if someone just feels, almost out of control, they can't stop. And it's really like a physiological reason that the body's just like, hey, you've missed these meals during the day. You're now eating, we'll catch up. So that's one driver. Another big driver would be that emotional side of things as well, that emotional dysregulation, we often call that. Yeah.
So restricting your intake And then, the offshoot of that is that you get to a point where it's, I've been good, I've deserved this. Or at the end of if you're being able to get through a dieting period, I'd imagine that comes up there too, is that I've been so good for so long. But you see like cheat meals, you know.
Oh, no.
Oh, getting started.
But you know, like and it's impressive. You see guys like The Rock and different things like that, and they've got pizzas and ice cream, and you're like, that's impressive, you know, because it is impressive. But like the messaging there and that pattern of doing that, I can imagine could be quite harmful.
Absolutely. And I think, as Carly, as you said about the dieting side, you know, can you imagine someone who is going through the day trying to restrict from a maybe I'm trying to lose weight here perspective, and people are then praising that? You know, people might comment, oh, I'm going out for dinner tonight, so I'm not going to eat breakfast and lunch. And that praised by so many people. People actually comment on that going, oh, wow, you've got really good willpower.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Good discipline.
And, you know, so that's sort of then, I guess, fueling someone's knowledge about, oh, okay, this is what I should be doing. This is normal behavior. And I think now where just so many people are dieting and doing really what I would call restrictive eating practices is just so common. It's praised.
Everyone.
And it's talked about in workplaces, everywhere.
Everywhere. It's constant.
Yeah, well, with all those outside influences like body image for young girls, even for young boys, just about, you know, like I said, about massive cheat meal and how, you know, impressive that is. But, you know, boys wanting to get bigger and eat a lot more and all that sort of stuff, like that influence that's there. And someone's always better than you. Like there's, you know.
But it's also social media.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Like where are they getting their information from, you know? Are they actually qualified, or are they just speaking? Are they trying to sell something? Or what are their own intentions? Or you don't know what they do behind the camera.
No.
They could say, oh, I fasted all day, but they're probably eating all day.
Absolutely. And even the influencers that post like what I've eaten in the day, follow me, what I've eaten in the day. I just, you know, I speak to my clients all the time about this.
Unrealistic.
That is so unrealistic, because I don't think any two people should have the exact same intake. Like I work with clients very much individually.
It's tailored to them.
It's tailored to them, because no one else, you know, clients will often say, oh, I see this lady at work and she never eats anything. You know, I don't know how she does that, but, you know, unless you're with that lady and live with her 24/7, you don't know her. You know, she might be embarrassed of eating in front of people, and she goes home and, you know, maybe binges at the end of the day. You just don't know. So it's dangerous trying to, you know, compare your eating or want to follow someone else on social media or wherever.
I like that person for whatever reason, how they look or what they stand for. I want to look like them. This is what they do, so I'm going to follow that eating plan as such. Yeah,
absolutely, which is just ridiculous, because I mean, really, you know, how our bodies look are just, it's so genetically driven. So, you know, you wouldn't argue with me about height or shoe size or eye color. All those are genetics. Our weight and our sort of our body composition is pretty much set, just like those other things as well. And it's people trying to push themselves out of their genetic pattern. It is the dangerous thing, because they're going to muck up their body's, say, metabolic rate. And then, you know, going into adulthood, everything's mucked up then. And it's hard to then come back.
Yeah. And we always want the complete opposite, you know. Oh, I've got curly hair, I want straight hair, or, you know, I want to look like this and I'm not ever going to look like that, you know.
Absolutely.
And who put the value on how you should look anyway? Who decided that?
Yeah.
Who made it? Yeah, who made that?
Well, that's, and
Diet culture?
Diet culture. We're going to go
The
right
billions
back to,
of dollars they make.
yeah. Absolutely. It's a huge industry. You know, that whole weight loss industry is just, I think it was Weight Watchers, it's US, they got into trouble because in their business model, they want people to fail.
Okay.
don't they? Because if people succeeded at it, they wouldn't come back and reuse them. So
And they had that in their business plan. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. I don't know where that's at. It all went to court, but yeah, that's exactly these places don't want people to succeed.
Yeah, well, it's come up on a couple of podcasts just around food and why, food companies, are they there for our own best interest, or are they there to make a profit, right? And it's like, well, yeah, I'm sure they're not, just
They're there
reckless.
to make a profit.
But they are there. They're a business, right? Yeah.
Bottom line, yeah.
Yeah, but they are, right? And so they should. But then us as consumers, we're idiots sometimes, and I use that word because I'm probably guilty of it as well, is that we just fall for that trap.
Yeah.
It's like, the ad said, so I probably know that it's not right, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've got that. No, they said it's okay.
And I think at the moment, the biggest one is probably protein. Like, everyone's
got
got
protein in everything,
don't they? Like, and that's what people.
like, just give me a chocolate mousse.
Yeah, look for Muesli bars. Now, that's their selling point, high in protein or something like that. And
It's attractive to people, yeah.
that's it, because, they hear things, the stupid Dr. Oz show and those types of things where they're talking about, it's all about protein. Whereas, like, our requirements haven't changed. We didn't suddenly change the dietary requirements for protein. We do need protein, absolutely, but not at these huge high levels that they're now promoting. That, if you that's the trouble. If you start bagging a nutrient like carbohydrate and people are going, I shouldn't be having that, you've got to boost something else. Otherwise, there's a bit of a mismatch.
And we always carbohydrates are bad. It's never, it's, you just need to probably balance that, right? But yeah, from a macros point of view, again, it probably depends on the person and what they're trying to do and, how old they are and everything like that. But protein, carbohydrates and fats, is there your thoughts on, I suppose, the priorities there and how that's sort of the mix there?
Yeah, and I will, can I just say something else before I answer that sort of question? I will just point out, so, we've only got 3 options, haven't we, for energy? We've got carbs, proteins and fats. We've only got those 3 to play with. So what tends to happen, they go around in fashions of, if you want to, because we're all about weight loss apparently, what everyone talks about. If you're going to sell a book or promote a new diet, what you do is you just skip one of those macronutrients, don't you? It's easy.
Yeah.
It's lazy science, but it's easy. And it's funny how I know from being a teenager in the UK,
Atkins era.
carbs were bagged then. And I remember saying to my dad, I'm not having potato with my evening meal because, the women's magazines all say you shouldn't have carbohydrates. And my dad's a scientist, so he knew that was stupid, but anyway.
Okay.
But, that was, I'm not going to tell you how many years ago. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But we've gone through that phase. The 90s fats were bad, so then we played with cutting those out. Then it became paleo. So it was all about protein, the chef. And whatever show, Master Chef. And then we've just sort of come full circle again. And now we're back to sort of, I feel we're in that carbs are bad phase.
People started doing all the coconut oil instead of fats.
Yeah.
No carbs.
Yeah. So it's really just playing around constantly with those. But we then come back to the fact that, carbohydrates are our primary energy source. Our body goes, beautiful, going to turn that into glucose, can make that into energy very, very quickly. So certainly, when we're working with athletes, that's certainly something they should not be cutting down on. That's, probably the biggest part of their diet needs to be that. So that becomes then the balance is, I don't work in percentages per se. I just work in, okay, are you getting X, Y, and Z in your diet?
And cater it to what they're doing, what their output is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that changed is that, our carbohydrate foods are also our high fiber foods as well. And it's funny, I do remember the first time where carbs started to be banned. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago maybe. I was in my private practice. People started to come to me and their complaint was, I'm constipated. And I heard this enough over time. And I thought, what's happening here with the diets? And that was the first start. People started to cut out carbs because they were evil, and their fiber then went. So it's interesting, isn't it? We cut out a macronutrient, but we affect another nutrient that is essential to it.
Yeah. Instead of just balancing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. MyFitnessPal and calorie trackers and things like that. You
Your
guys
best friend.
Look, the clients that I work with, I'm often trying to get them away from
that?
those types of apps, because sometimes they're just unrealistic amounts that they calculate, and it's dangerous. So we usually
And
work
obsessive.
on obsessive as well.
Yeah.
Well, you can set, like, you're referring to like, hey, I'm at this weight, I want to get to this weight, and I want to do it. You can set whatever you want there, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a couple of warnings in there, but I can do whatever I want there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that process.
Absolutely. So it's usually a very low calorie requirement for someone really needs. We should be aiming for. Yeah. So I'm normally working on sort of, okay, let's step away from that. Can we delete that off your phone, or let's try not? But once somebody's calorie counting, and they're quite perfectionistic as well, they're really good at it.
Yeah.
So
there's the muscle memory
You
there.
can tell. I'd be like, oh, there's that many calories in that. There's that many calories in that. Just like looking at food.
yeah.
And from an educational point of view, that's not a bad thing, but it's probably more so
Not
what you're
helpful.
doing with that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't have all that because I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
What concoction can you create? Like, you don't even know. 'Cause, like, what can you create to get the least amount of calories with them? Like, if you're in your head,
And I guess also, with that perfectionism as well, like, I've been set this number. Can I come under that number?
Yeah.
How much can I come under that number? Could I go even lower this day? It becomes a big game. It's a mental head game, which is really hard to get out of.
Yeah, and you're always thinking about food.
Yeah, because you're always hungry. Yeah.
Because that
Or not hungry, but-
that relationship, like, have you found through this process, Carly, you think less about food now? Like, is that
Slowly, but only through lots and lots and lots of therapy with Nikki and the psych. I think, like, unless you actively change your thoughts, like, it's like a tractor going over the mud. If you've thought one thing for so long, it's going to be ingrained. Whereas, like, creating a new neural pathway to think, oh, that's not that bad, is very hard. It's doable, but it's very hard.
Yeah, just repetition and time.
Yes, it's time, I think, which everyone hates to hear, but it's actually the only thing, in my opinion.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, we want the quick fix, don't we? So summer's coming up in a couple of months. I need to get ready. It's just like, yeah.
And where did that come from?
Diet
Diet
culture.
Yeah. So selling a product of dieting,
Or like
for the benefit of a business.
looking a certain way. And it's like, who's the big influencers at the time, or like,
How can we
how can
leverage
we-
them?
yeah, the ones who are just on Photoshop, like, they don't actually look that way either. So then they've got this distorted view of what, especially kids who are so influential. It's like, oh, they're doing this thing. They look like this and they're doing this. They must, but really they're just like, oh, here, edit.
Yeah. And they're one big organism, teenagers, like in high school too. It's like one of them does something and it's the group, that's what we're going to do. Everyone does it, The hairstyle to what shoes, how low the bag's slung on your back, Like, I said to my kids, sort that out, And I can remember
What's
that.
cool.
Yeah, what socks you wear to school. Are you wearing all uniform or not?
And now social media.
That's charging that even more.
Yeah.
Because I guess, when we were younger at school, you didn't get the follow-up of the social media when you were home. You didn't get a break. Like, we got a break from it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you were out exercising too. You're out playing or doing something.
Absolutely. Whereas, now that they continue after school, they're chatting to each other or continuing that, oh, we need to look a certain way with your hair. Have you done this with your hair, or have you got the right shoes? It continues, so kids aren't getting that downtime away from it.
So harder now to help people and support people?
I think so. Yeah, I think it is getting a little bit harder because there are too many external influences.
Competing against you.
Yeah.
That's sad, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is. And I think I'll give you an example. One of my roles, we set up binge eating disorder program at Hollywood Hospital. And it's a fantastic program with a really good friend of mine, psych. And the participants learned so much about their eating disorder and how to manage it. But after we'd run a few sessions, they said to us, look, it's all great. Well, like, we learn this stuff and we feel all safe, like, well, we're at Hollywood. But then we step back into the real world and all these comments come from, and it often was family members. So what we ended up doing is we organised a part of the program where the parents would come in, or you could bring your husband or wife, whoever you wanted, who you thought was influential in your life, to come along so they could understand about binge eating disorder as well. So that they might have helped them change maybe some of their comments, because a good one is, someone might have been working on building confidence around eating chocolate, for instance. But someone at home might go, I thought you were doing the binge eating disorder program. What are you eating chocolate for? So straight away, that person was like, doing something wrong. Like, I perhaps shouldn't do that. So that was really helpful. I think if people understand a bit more about a condition, it's going to help everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Parents and, particularly, I suppose, before we go into that, binge eating is sort of coming out of that sort of stuff. Is that a similar framework with what you do with all the other eating disorders? It's just understanding where it comes from, that acknowledgement of that, and then putting some systems in place.
People come wanting to change that behaviour, and they might feel guilt and shame around that behaviour. But as we said earlier on, it's serving a purpose for that person, and it's often emotionally driven. It's helping calm them for a short period of time, when that binge might start, that's helping a person. So it's getting them understanding that, because we have to replace it with something else.
And probably a priority for them too, right? If they're willing to not eat or change that, like it's high on the list, right? It's not something you can easily, oh yeah, that's okay, I can get rid of.
I think you really have to acknowledge what it was serving. I think that's really important, because you don't realize that, I think, when you're in it.
Yeah, so why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Was that easy for you, like doing that? Yeah. Did you know?
I don't think I have still.
Yeah. Did you know at the time before you met Nikki what it was as such?
I don't think so. Definitely not.
Okay.
No.
It just come to light through having those conversations.
I thought I was going to see Nikki. She'd be like, eat this, this, and this. And I go home, but, I can do that now. Yeah. See?
10 years later, I can't get rid of it.
5 years later.
5 years later. Sorry.
But yeah, I honestly thought, okay, I don't actually have a problem. I just don't know what to eat. And I kept saying, Nikki, you just tell me what to eat. And she's like, no. And I was like, can you just tell me what to eat? But like, it's not that easy. But you don't realize that.
Yeah.
It's like, just tell me what to eat. I was like, I just don't know what I'm doing. It's like, well, no.
And that's such a good point, because we do work with meal plans, absolutely, to try and build a little bit of structure. But then it could become Nikki's perfect way of eating, which there is no such thing. If I just say, look, this is what you need to follow, like someone who's got discipline and follow that perfectly, that's not helpful either long term, is it? Because then that means that what happens if I eat something slightly different off my meal plan?
The guilt and the shame.
I haven't done my job if I haven't got someone to the end of recovery. That's just...
You used to be like, this is where we're starting. This is just a start. This is not what the end goal is. This is a start.
How many times did I say that?
So many times. See, this is a start.
You're not too concerned if people stray a little bit, and that it's not about
I don't
that
think
anymore.
I've ever not strayed.
Yeah.
No, that's part of the journey. Yeah.
Is being comfortable with that and getting the confidence to your confidence, would you say, to it's
Yeah, and I think also again that trust comes from, you know, someone who's perfectionistic, for them to come to a session and go, oh, I've done something a bit wrong, Nikki. I've done something different to what you said. I was like, did I say it? Like,
yeah, and then
was it said in concrete? No, no.
and the opportunity to reframe that for them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because life is life, isn't it? Things get in the way.
But celebrating the good as well.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
But even if it doesn't feel good, because I'm like, oh, I ate this, but it's like good, you know?
Yeah,
and
so the
like,
good
you
is-
realize that's a win until after.
So the good is sort of failing, so to speak,
Yeah,
right? Like
it's
not being
actually-
perfect, being okay with not being perfect.
And then some like permission for that, because it's hard to give yourself permission. So it's easier to get that off someone else.
Yeah, that accountability.
Yeah.
That's interesting, hey? It's just like, yeah, just relax.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little.
Relax.
I said,
It sounds so easy, doesn't it?
yeah.
Just relax.
Yeah, I say that to my teenage daughters and I get death stares.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting out of that binge eating disorder like the others is just sort of taking your foot off the gas a little bit, not being so stringent, regular eating, resetting those patterns so you can feel the hormone triggers, would you call them?
That's to start. That's the hunger.
Yeah.
It's a hunger and a satiety to get back to that. But that, as I really want to emphasise, that takes a long time to get back to that.
How long on sort of average would you find?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it depends. You know, the emotional side of things, it can be a strong part of it. So
your emotions fighting against letting that.
yeah.
Okay.
You know, using emotion, you know, using food to deal with emotions as well. So that's why, you know, having a good psychologist is really important as well. I'm not saying I do it all, you know, the psychologist helps with the headspace stuff.
Yeah. So then messaging to parents, like, is it just, hey, don't mention anything about food? Is that the best way to go?
No,
No?
not at all.
Okay.
I think parents can really help, but they might need. I think it's a judgment, like not saying judging food, not putting food into good and bad categories. I think is a really good start, and just embracing food is food. And parents say, "Well, what should I call it then?" And I go, "Just call it its name, chocolate." Banana, you know, you don't have to have something extra. You don't have to morally judge it, and you know, and also demonstrating, like
Kids are watching or listening to everything.
absolutely. If you've got own comfort, and some parents might need their own work on this, but if you've got a good relationship with food, that's going to come across to kids as well. Whereas if people are, and I don't want to look like I'm blaming parents. At all, but kids are watching what parents are doing. So someone's dieting in a household, kids are going to see that and you know, start thinking, well, why are you doing that? You know, when they're young, they probably don't worry, but getting into adolescence, they're going to be, oh, they're doing that, so maybe I should do that. Perhaps I should be doing what mum or dad is doing. So they're very influenced by what family members are doing.
Yeah, I can reflect on, like, whether it's food related or not, but just a comment you'll make that you don't even remember a couple of years ago, but it's like burnt into their brain and you don't even realize, like, it was nothing bad, but it's just something that they've carried for whatever reason.
Yep.
That's, that's attached to them.
Absolutely. And I think, like, a good example, I think a lot of my clients that maybe come to me and we're working on binge eating disorder, there's a common thread I find in that they often tell stories that they were dieted at, and sometimes the number breaks my heart, like 8, 9, 10, these really young ages. And that's their memory of their childhood almost. You know, they just give you a random sort of example, you know, their brother was fine in his body. They had a body that maybe is not socially acceptable and needs to change. So, you know, the brother had a great big meal at dinner and they had a smaller portion, and it was sort of talked about, well, you don't need as much as your brother, obviously. And can you imagine growing up in that sort of family and just food is always being watched for you by somebody else?
So it's,
It's damaging.
So it's not so much the parents putting them through the, hey, the diet as such, but some commentary and comparison and judgments that will force them to start to diet.
Yeah.
Parents
Absolutely.
themselves as well, I think. Like they're listening. It's like if they don't like the way they look, I think they comment and then they go, oh, then I don't want to look like that because that's bad. Or, and not understanding like where their comments are coming from, but they just listen to the overall idea. And I think kids come in being like, oh, this is bad. Well, where'd you hear that? Oh, mum.
Yeah.
Dad. Oh.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's their own judgment. They don't realize that's not normal because they're kids.
So role modeling really important. What about from a the type of food that's in the house is staying away from processed foods, things like that, or what are your thoughts?
I don't think that's going to be helpful either, by being really strict either.
Because they're going to be exposed to it. Inevitably.
And I think if we can embrace every food, and I'm not saying that they're always, eating a certain thing, it's being able to see everything. And I mean, I think if their main meals are sort of, what we might describe as sort of nutritious, but we're accepting of other things as well, and not commenting of them, and we're having balance with that as well, they're more likely to have a better relationship with that.
Just food without judgment.
Without judgment, and not using it too much. Treats, we've got to be careful, I think.
Rewards?
And certainly not rewards. But,
well.
really, got to be down.
Well, I used to play football when I was young, and it's like, if you get so many tackles, or you can get a Mars bar and a Coke. And it's like, you think back. And it's just like mum and dad wanting to, rewarding you for doing a great job.
Absolutely.
But you can understand how that would, create a pattern.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think also, rewards, if, like I was saying, that previous example, if one part of the family, like the brother or something, is allowed more of the rewards, but then they're sort of monitored in the other person, well, you've probably got to be a little bit careful with these. That's going to be damaging, isn't it?
And it's probably inevitable too. I'm just like thinking about my kids. One's tall and, she's shot up, whereas the other one's shorter, right? And she's different at the moment. And it's not to say that she's not going to be tall. She is going to be tall, but it's like she will view a sister and go, oh, well, I'm not like that. I need to make myself like that. And I'm not saying that that's what she does, but you can understand why a kid would do that, like in their head.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you look at, their peer group as well, how different kids are when they develop. There's a real, good couple of years or so when people can change. And that's hard, isn't it? Some young girl particularly starts puberty younger than all her peers. That's a real hard time because, they're laying down fat. That's quite a normal thing. And so that can be very difficult for young people.
Yeah, and then you have some cruel boys or girls at school making some comments. It's just like, oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. ADHD, imagine you come across that and deal with that a little bit. Is there sort of some intricacies there from a point of view, like with medication mainly, you would find?
Yeah, I lots of intricacies there. Definitely would start with a medication. I think, often the medications that younger kids are put on can really have an appetite suppressing effect. And that can be, really difficult because often the medication is given for the school day. So the appetite can be sort of suppressed throughout the school day, which can be quite sort of problematic. So it's a tricky one, and I'm often working with perhaps psychiatrists as well to, perhaps my feedback might be that, their regime that they're on at the moment is really affecting how much they can eat. So there are ways around that, changing the time of day that they maybe take it.
Or type of meds,
or making sure that food is given first before the medication is taken, to sort of try and balance things like that. But I think if it's affecting a young child's intake, I think it really needs to be looked at. Like, they might need the medication, it might need juggling as well with making sure that they're getting adequacy.
Well, imagine too, it just messes up those patterns you were talking about. Like, it's okay, it's suppressing your hunger, and I'm not getting the need to, but I still need to fuel my body.
Yep.
Like, it's just well, I'm eating not because of that trigger. If I do, you know.
And sometimes, I mean, that's hard, isn't it? When you've got no appetite, it's very hard to eat. You're just sort of not interested in food. So it is, again, that's a very individual thing. I work with sort of families to, okay, when can we get the food in? Like, when are the patterns coming in? How can we sort of manage this better? Different times and things like that. Yeah. I think it's important, to start with the structure. That's just to help them sort of understand that, the body needs a certain amount of sort of food.
Yeah.
So are you going to say
No,
something?
I found taking the ADHD meds helped me eat more.
Oh, really?
Because it helped me have that structure. You know what?
Okay.
I couldn't think about food before, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
that's not everyone. And also, if I do have my meds at the wrong time, I'm not hungry. So you have to and also your meds don't work if you don't eat. So that's another thing you have to think about.
But I suppose if you're, not wanting to lose weight, but if you see some positive, changes in your body because you're not eating as much, this driver becomes prevalent, and
Then you're not allowed your meds if you're losing weight.
Yeah, that's often...
That's psychiatrists are pretty... lots of vary onto that, I think.
Yeah. But there are, when we look at maybe adults who are, needing to perhaps organise their own food, ADHD really comes in with
Decisions.
That because, decision making can be difficult. Some of my clients just almost food blindness. So they describe it as, they can open the fridge door and it's full of food, but the thought process to make that into a meal, it's too much. So that's something. Impulsivity sometimes around foods that can drive often, the sugary, fatty foods can be an issue. So I think people experience it in slightly different ways.
I remember going to Nikki's like, bring a snack, and I could not decide what I wanted, so I bought 3 different things. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I thought,
I find it now we've been busy. It's sort of like, you might miss a meal or whatever, and it's like, I need something quick, and I can make myself something, but it's like, if I'm efficient with my time, I'll just have this bowl of granola and yogurt and some fruit, and I'll eat that, right? And, a bowl of, I'm not talking like half a cup here, I'm talking a couple of probably cups of granola here, right? And it becomes this thing of this habit, of just getting it, because it's easy.
Yeah, we're all time poor. I think from the ADHD perspective, when we're talking about crossing over into eating disorders, it's still the planning over the day, which is the difficult thing. But
try getting an ADHD person to plan.
Yeah.
A bit of structure.
Bit of structure. Run for the hill.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, well, and a parent who's, at their wit's end with a child that, they may not want to put them on medication, but it's their last resort to do that, and you're trying to juggle that. Like, hard. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes a word that we use is just stacking, food stacking.
Okay.
So
this is very helpful.
Yeah, trying to link something. Let's say, I'll give you an example. You're trying to eat something in the morning, when you're leaving the house. So it might be that you put something on the fridge that reminds you to take your breakfast with you if that's what you're going to do. You're going to eat it out, so you don't forget. Because often someone might get to work and go, oh, that's right, I've made my breakfast, but I've left it at home in the fridge. Or you might put a little note next to your keys if that's, you try to find something that you're already going to do. You're going to grab your keys, aren't you? Because otherwise you can't start your car. So you might put a little note next to it. Don't forget to take my lunch out of the fridge or my breakfast or whatever you're trying to stack. So that's quite a useful strategy.
Or like,
isn't
oh, I'm
it?
driving to training, so I need this. So then putting that snack with that food so you don't forget it. Because a lot of people just forget.
Yeah.
Too busy. Who am I? Where am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, stacking. Or like the times even like, oh, I'm driving, I need to have a snack. I'm going to this place, oh, I need to have a snack.
Yeah. And just being prepared. Like meal preparation is pretty important in those sort of busy lifestyles and getting that structure.
It's very, very useful, but often it's a difficult thing to do.
I can't do that.
Okay, so like devoting time on like a Sunday to do it as such, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that can take a while to get into that routine, but that's a useful one because then you might have little containers in your fridge for the rest of the week. But that's just brings me to another point, which is tricky. Sometimes I find clients, they get over food, so they might think, oh, I'm going to have, I don't know, rice and chili con carne, and they get to Wednesday and they're just like,
I'm sick of this.
I don't want to eat rice and chili con carne. So then it's difficult to make another decision because I haven't got anything there. So it's
I'd say Nikki was like, okay, I'll try and have a muesli bar, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want that. And up would go, no, I can't do that at the moment. I've had too many. It's like, oh no, you got to like, it's not just about when, it's about like what. People are like, oh, I don't want that anymore.
yeah.
Because
Yeah. And another interesting was, how I was saying about the fridge, sometimes out of sight, out of mind, if, when you open it and you can't make that meal. But even I have clients that, in the crisper at the bottom of the fridge, if something's pushed in that drawer, that's not there.
Oh, I haven't opened that drawer in so long.
Yeah, so sometimes they have to put their fruit and veg in the door, where the milk normally goes, because then when you open the door, it's there. It's like, oh, yes.
You need one of those fridges that have those glass so you can see through it.
Yes, that's useful as well. I know it all sounds funny stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No,
Well, it's basic stuff, right? And we're basic, organisms, really.
These are real serious things.
Or
that
a
need to
snack
be-
box.
Yep.
That's helpful.
A
It's
snack
like when you
box,
can't decide, you just put a bunch of snacks and you just take something. So it takes the thought process out of it.
Yeah, you've got some options and you're sure to be able to pick one out of that. Yeah.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work.
Not
Yeah.
put it back into the final one.
But if you got, like, what do you do? 3, 4 different options within?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And put them everywhere, like a gym, at home, in the car.
Yeah. Because, like you're busy. Like, how do you find that? Is it just being prepared for those situations? Like, is the time
I'm not
thing
very
a thing?
prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So teaching you structure is probably a hard thing to do, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
very.
And getting you to adhere to it. So, what do you find works then?
Stacking is probably the best thing that's helped,
Okay.
I would say.
So there's.
But also
things-
not like accepting that not having a plan is okay. Because then if you have a plan and you don't follow it, then you just won't do anything. That's what not you, but me. If you have a plan and then I was like, oh, I've skipped morning tea. Now I've just messed up the rest of the day. It's like, oh no, you go to the next eating time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then not putting a time on it either, that messes like, oh, I have to have this at this time. It's like, you can have it whenever, but just like the next time.
If it's 30 minutes later, who cares?
Yeah,
It's not
whereas
the end of the world.
A lot of people go, oh, I've missed lunch. I'll just skip it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, you can eat that whenever. It's not strict what it feels like.
It has been tricky for Carly because each day is a little bit different for Carly. It's not like someone going to a 9-to-5 job. That's sometimes easier, like every day, Monday to Friday, because then you can sort of lock in every day the same.
Yeah.
Carly does something different slightly each
And it's
day.
like training and then before training or work or coaching, and it's like completely different. It's like, well, if I do this on Monday, I can't do this on Wednesday because that's different. And it's like trying to find, okay, but it can be different.
Yeah.
Accepting that, which is difficult.
Yeah, work around it.
Yeah.
And it sort of goes back to that, like every client is different for me. Everyone has different life, don't they? Different structure, different times, different families, all those things come in.
And some people would need structure. Like some people are like, I need it to be like this. I'm like, if I see structure, I'm not going to do anything.
I can eat the same thing, I don't know, as a year, no problems. Right?
Wow.
Eat each meal. But my wife would be like, I can't do that 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just different.
Yeah,
Mm.
very much.
Which is cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. You know.
Definitely not.
Yeah, yeah. Perimenopause, menopause, do you deal with a bit of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I do, and I think that's an interesting one because I think we're starting to see more eating disorders in those sort of age sort of group. So it's a tricky one because let's face it, it's a time where women's bodies definitely change. So we're not producing as much estrogen. That mucks up, if you put on some weight, where the weight goes, sort of more around the middle area.
Do you reckon it's the same thought you would have when you're going through puberty, when your body's changing?
Yeah.
It's like similar but different?
Yeah, I think very, very much so. It's definitely a changing time. And I think, another big one is that, once we get sort of past 40-ish, they say, we then, with that sort of change comes, muscle mass drops as well, which I think is a really important one that I think people need to really, really think about and adapt maybe their exercise programs and that type of thing. So I think it's tricky because, I'm finding clients then come wanting that weight loss, but I certainly think it's a dangerous time to then start to think about restricting because then you're probably not eating enough to say maintain muscle mass. You're going to probably aggravate muscle mass more than you need to. So I try and get people to embrace, more just there might be things that we need to work on. They might have, come off the back of doing low carb or something like that. So it might be an education about, okay, we need to talk about nutrients here. We need to make sure that you're eating adequacy from a nutritional perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could imagine too, like being in a calorie deficit during that period, just in general, from overall mood. Like, there's so much going on, and it's like it's hard to be consistent with that, with what's changing in your body. Never alone you add in, a calorie deficit to lose weight as well.
So that, I think you say a really good point there because it does really affect mood. That's one of the biggest things it affects when we're not eating enough. Brain.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, we all get it. That's for sure. Yeah.
So try and do that day after day when your brain is not getting enough glucose. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier, didn't you? Hangry.
Yeah, hangry, brain fog.
Stressed, and menopause brings brain fog. So then you're doubling up on that side effect as well. So.
Well, just what life is throwing at you at that point in time too. It's not as though like you're in your early 20s and it's carefree and my body's sort of changing. Like you've got children, you're probably working full time, you've got you've got a marriage, you're trying to make all this sort of stuff work. Your body's changing, you don't know what's going on. I'm getting older. No one likes that, I'm in my 40s, nudging 50s. I'm in, like what is it,
Yeah. Yep.
There's just lots probably to process, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So
and I
much.
think, you mentioned the children, but you've possibly got teenage children. That's a real hard one, isn't it? So that's another extra thing.
Yeah. No, and certainly like my wife and I have found it very difficult, like just in regards to dealing with teenagers. And we love our kids to bits, but they're sent to test us. And I think during this teenage years, they do their very best, and not that they necessarily go out of their way, but it's just different things that pop up, what's going on, and changes and all that sort of stuff.
I think sometimes, mums particularly will sometimes just fit in with, you're trying to feed a family. Mums sort of just fit in with, okay, that's what my kids need to eat. It would then be hard to change up what you're trying to do or do something different. Like that might not be the best way of going because, we're trying to keep kids at the dining table and sort of being a little bit social that way as well. So it's a real, tricky time.
Yeah, and I think you'd be able to answer this better than myself, but like making yourself the priority as well, being a mother and your children are dependent on you, like
Yeah.
that's your role as such,
definitely.
genetically and so forth. It's just like the guilt and shame that goes with that, of not doing that and putting yourself as the priority, at a time when you really need to, I suppose, can be difficult as well.
Definitely. There's really that thing, mother's guilt. There's definitely a thing out there for sure.
Yeah.
So I think it is. It is trying to, chisel some time out for yourself, whether that, I'm a big fan of, the strengths training, because I think that's what, let's forget the whole weight loss side of things that we have to do. We need to keep ourselves strong
And functional.
That would be my big message. And we're not going to be able to do that if we're trying to consume like a restrictive intake. It's just not going to work. You're going to feel exhausted and not maybe want to go to the gym or whatever person likes to do.
That whole, I suppose, process and framework that you talk about, whether it is, someone going through puberty, menopause, binge eating disorder, different disorders, like it's pretty similar, like that relationship with food and how you, it's all the same, but it comes out in different, I suppose,
I think you
ways.
can say that for sure. It's how, and like I've said before, everyone is very different with that. So it's meeting someone where they're at with what's going on for them and food, how they're relating to food. Yeah, very much so.
Weight loss medication is pretty prevalent these days, more recently, again, some businesses wanting to sell some product, but, there's
Fast and easy.
Yeah. Well, it's got all the appeal, doesn't it? It's it will happen quick. I don't
Very
need to.
much so. And doesn't it feel like everyone's on it at the moment? If we go back to social media, like so many
It's every
celebrities
ad
are
even.
using it. Yeah. And I'm not. I have lots of clients come to me and they're either contemplating that medication, but which I think everyone has, it's their decision, as long as I think people understand, what it's doing, how it works, and the long-term implications as well. So can I tell you a little bit
Of course,
about it?
I'm interested, yes.
Yeah, they're basically sort of mimicking, how I talked about hunger hormones. So then it's mimicking a hormone that tells you that you're satiated. So what that means is that, you end up being able to only eat a small amount of food, and then you get that signal that you've had enough. So that's where the deficiency or deficit in calories is coming in. But that might be fine. Well, maybe not fine if you get a lot of the symptoms of maybe nausea, early fullness, just feeling uncomfortable in
They're the side effects, are they?
your gut system. Some people get that a lot worse than others. But let's say you get the weight loss and you then look at coming off that medication. That person's gone through that period of starvation. So how does the body respond to that? Come off the medication and you get your appetite responses coming back almost with a vengeance. So you are starving, hungry.
And then that's when you think about food all the time, and it goes back to all of that.
Yeah, so someone's, they're looking at the studies. The chances are someone's just going to put the weight back on after they've come off that medication. And sometimes, what also the research shows is that you might put on a little bit extra as well, because that's what it seems to be when we've sort of rebounded from restriction and our body puts the weight back on, you gain that extra little bit as well. And that's why yo-yo dieting's not a great way of going. Yeah. So that's the tricky thing, is what is someone going to do with that medication? How long are they thinking that they're going to be on that medication for?
Yeah, so short term to, I suppose, get to a certain point from a health point of view, or, would be...
That's what people are taking it for.
Yes. But I suppose coupling that with someone like yourself to be able to help with that longer term relationship, like medication being the short term and then the longer term stuff is working on that stuff.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. I think if someone does come and see a dietitian while they're thinking of doing that, but I also worry that, how I'm working with someone is to sort of understand that appetite regulation. It's very difficult if you're then stopping a medication and you're starving hungry. How do
You're going to make
respond to that? That's the real tricky part of it. Yeah.
So changing hormones, right?
Yeah. What's mimicking something we've already got.
just telling you you're full all the time.
Yeah.
And then you're gone, and it's like, oh, all this food. You know, when you're offered all this food that I'm not wanted to, you know, you can eat again. You know.
Yeah. And it does. I have to say, some of my clients mention that it does suppress some of that food noise. I think that's a good word to use, that constant talk about food, thinking about food. Some people describe that gets suppressed, but then, it's tricky if that then just comes back if you come off the medication.
Doesn't that happen though when you start eating again? You think about food. When you have restricted, you just think about food all the time.
Yes.
So either way,
Yeah.
it's going to come back for them if they come off
Possibly.
it.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes, it commonly does. Yeah.
So something to be mindful of. It can serve a purpose from a medical standpoint, but something to be mindful of once you go off at the longer term
Absolutely.
impact.
Yeah. And maybe, it's accepting that I think people, when they want to lose weight, I seem to experience that they're unrealistic in what they want to lose. You know, they might have a weight back when they were in their 20s and they're sort of, that's their
measure.
focus. I want to get back to that weight. And so it's unrealistic. But then they feel like failures when they don't get there. So I think, it's balancing that out as well. But as I say, I don't work in that area of focused weight loss. I'm more working with people on their relationship with food and their body as well.
Yeah. Like being a business owner and commercially, you have people coming to you and saying, hey, I want to lose weight quick. And you will, I imagine, lose customers and people by having that approach. Like, like that's not easy to do, I suppose, from a business standpoint. Or is that like, hey, no, I don't care. This is where I'm going. This is what's right.
That's a really interesting question. When I first thought about this whole area, I think that was a concern because I was probably quite new to private practice. And I thought, are people going to want to come to me? But what I found is that a lot of people also really want that help. They really want to change their relationship with food. And so I've got plenty of clients that want to do that and willing to come and work with me on that, and particularly long-term dieters. So I will still have those conversations with people. They ring me up and say, Nikki, I want to come and see you for weight loss. And when I ask them the question, tell me a little bit about that, and I hear that they've done diets for the last 30 years. And then I say, okay, so you're wanting to just do what you've done in the past.
That trend doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah. and then you start sort of saying, do you think, how's your relationship with food? Is it always on your mind? And they're sort of yes. Then I think they can see, do I really just want to do what I've done in the past? That is obviously not working. So I'm still getting those clients as well. However, what's very interesting is some of those clients that I've told them about how I work, and they're like, no, I really don't think I'm going to come and see you. I just...
Yeah.
And
really?
Actually. And sometimes it's like 5 years later, they say, do you know what? You spoke to me 5 years ago, told me what you did, but I just wanted weight loss and I've done another 5 years of weight cycling. I think I need to come back and see you. Yeah, so that's lovely.
Yeah, it is.
So
in their own time, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not there. I'm not going to force my method on someone because I think that's ridiculous. Someone's got to understand the method. And don't get me wrong, doing my method does not mean someone just suddenly gives up and goes, oh, great, yeah, I'm cool with my body now. I'm really happy.
Yeah, I did that.
And everyone moves forward, they're happy. that, you know, that relationship with your body comes and goes. It's a cycle. You know, I'm still having conversations. Someone might come into my office and go, oh, Nikki, I've just had a really bad body image fortnight. I just feel crap. Maybe I should do weight loss. And we just talk about it. Like, what's come up for you? Oh, I went to see my family for the weekend and they're all on Ozempic. So that, you know, that really triggers someone.
We talk about like feeling heavy or like, but it could be the weather, you know, like you feel worse in the heat or like muggy. And I'm like, oh, I feel so heavy this week. But really it's just because I'm sweaty and hot and you don't really relate that until you actually talk about it. It can be in your head, you know?
Yeah. It's like, but you can feel that.
You can feel that.
Yeah.
Oh, can you not feel that?
No.
That's the issue, right?
Maybe if I've eaten a lot, I'll feel that. And whether that is because I'm, you know, a bit of shame in regards to eating,
that's
overeating.
the other thing. It's like,
but so you can,
you feel it, but actually, what are you actually feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not actually the food. Because then you look at what you've eaten, it's like, oh, I haven't eaten that much, so how is it food?
Yeah.
And bodies don't change that quickly either.
An hour. Yeah, I'm so happy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you can see it's like the relationship with food and the body that's the problem. People need to get assistance with.
Well, and it must be lovely too from that approach and taking that direction, that longer term, you know, like situations like with Carly, you know, the impact that you've had and the positive, you know, you've known her for a long time, seeing where she started and where she's at now. Like, and
so true.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel I can ethically help someone with weight loss. It goes against what I believe, because we have really good evidence that, you know, it's like 95% of people who intentionally try and lose weight within sort of 1 to 2 years will have regained it, if not a little bit more. That's a lot, isn't it? 95%. That's what the research is showing us. But what are people told? They're constantly told they should just lose weight and everything will be better. But we're already setting people up to fail, I believe, by just saying, let's just try and lose weight here.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in with you, like you're younger than us too, generational wise, right?
Yeah.
But like from an influencer's point of view, like there's lots of influencers, both male and female, will talk about how they go about their lifestyle and things like that. Is there many that you've sort of found that Nikki's approach, where it's more so around that relationship with food and not so much about, hey, this is what you eat to get to this point, and if you want to lose weight, this is what you do? And
I think it depends on the person who you follow. I think a lot of people want to be like that, but they're not actually distributing that message. I think they think they're doing that. I think a lot of people come out of recovery and say like, follow me in recovery of what I eat in a day. And it's just like, probably not. So then other people are looking, but I think it's about who you follow, because I think there's some people who have genuine intentions and are saying the right things, but I think you shouldn't, people take that as like how it is for everyone. They don't post all like the up and downs that they've had, or, you know, like it's not always that easy. Oh, just do this. So yeah, I think everyone is different, but I do think people are becoming more educated around it, because more people are talking about it, especially like in my friend group. They're 50-50, I would say. Half of them are like, meh. Half of them are like, still need to hit the gym and work out. And it's like their intentions they're not hitting the gym for the right reasons. But the others are just doing it for fun or social or whatever. And I think it depends how you've been brought up, who you look up to, who you're following. So I think it's really important to look at people's intentions behind the message they're portraying.
Which is hard, isn't it?
It's hard.
You're going through recovery. Like, who do you believe?
Yeah.
Because I think exactly what you say. Some do seem very believable.
Oh, 100. You see it and it's like, oh, follow me of what I eat in a day. And it's like, they're doing like, oh, this. It's like, oh, how? Okay, so they're in recovery, but they still look like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you put that all together. So why am I listening to this when I could just do this? It's like,
Yeah.
You know, it's very distorted.
And from our point of view too, watching something like that, they may be very genuine with what they're going through and what they're doing and what they're sharing, but are we, why are we following it? Does it fit with our,
Exactly,
genetic makeup, our body composition, where we are in life, like all that sort of stuff? Or is it more about, I don't know, how many followers they got and how they look and I want to be like that. It's,
Definitely. And I think that's that is a giveaway. I think anyone who's truly understands recovery would not be posting,
No.
this is what I eat in a day.
God,
Yeah,
no. People don't even want to talk about, like, I didn't even want to talk about what I eat in a day with Nikki, let alone the whole of the internet.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's the whole internet. This is what I ate today. Like, the person going through recovery, but oh, cringe. Like, that's the last thing you want to talk about, let alone it's like, oh, make my oats with me. Here's my gluten-free, fat-free, sugar-free syrup or whatever. And it's like, maybe you still got a few issues to sort out.
Some other drivers, comfort eating, because we can all fall into that trap, can't we? Like, is there something that you use to, like, because comfort eating would be okay, right? Yeah.
This is so
But Cecily asked me that question, and I would add to that, even overeating is okay. Like I'm saying that to my clients a lot of time. Like we all
He's like, what are you talking about?
all do that.
I'm going to the shops,
That is a normal response. Something tastes really good, and you eat a bit more, and you go, I wish I hadn't done that. I'm feeling a bit full. That's okay. It's very different because, I mean, that can set someone off into a binge because they've done that and gone, that's terrible. Now I feel a bit overfull. I might as well, I've got whatever in my fridge. I might as well finish that off because I've blown it anyway.
It's the perfectionist thing as well, though, right? I'm like, oh, I can't log. I messed up one thing. It's like, oh, I've been eating this. Might as well eat it all.
Yeah. So I think acceptance around that and just going, look, okay, you went out for dinner. That tasted really nice, and you had an extra half a bowl, and now you're feeling a little bit overfull. Your body, you're not suddenly going to put 5 kilos on from doing that, but that's what people believe. So I think normalizing that is okay. I think so. It's the same as comfort eating. Everyone probably does that to some extent because food does again serve that purpose. But if it's then crossing a line into the whole guilt, shame, it might be done in secret, because that's a question I've always asked. Would you eat like that if your husband was sat around? And often people say, no way, like no one knows I eat like this because it's, they might, take things to the bedroom or something like that. So it's the relationship and the problem with the food that if someone has an issue, that's what we're trying to work on. If someone doesn't, like you sound like, you like a bit of comfort eating, that's okay. Doesn't sound like you need help with that.
Yeah.
Am I reading it right?
Yeah, because it's sort of like your body's working perfectly fine, isn't it, of overeating, and you're getting the message to say that you've overeaten. Instead of that, we like put all this guilt and shame and judgment on ourselves instead of going, well, my body's telling me, but that's great. I know for next time.
I remember Nikki explaining it to me, like, if I'd be like, well, why do I have to do this if those person can skip a meal? And she's like, well, maybe they ate a bigger breakfast than you. And like, so then they're not hungry till later because they, overate, but ate more then. So then they're catching, it all regulates because they're listening to their hunger cues. I'm like, why do I have to eat like this? And they're like stopping when they're hungry, like stopping when they're full, starting when they're hungry. It's like they're actually eating the same, just in a different pattern.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's really hard to, so you might think you're overeating, but the next day you won't eat as much, but you don't even think about it because your body naturally does it.
Yeah. And that's why dieting is so wrong, because someone's given a number, aren't they? Let's say calories or kilojoules, and people then believe that that's what they hit every day. You've got to hit that number. That's not normal eating, is it? Because if we actually tracked it, some days we eat a bit more, some days we'd probably go under, some a bit more. It's a flexible thing because when we're listening to our bodies, exactly what you said, some days, you've overeaten, but then the next time you'll probably get a message, oh, I'm not quite so hungry here, I'll have a smaller snack. It's balance.
We're the only ones who attach guilt or shame to it. Like the food's not saying that.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah, but just the environment factors too. Like it's colder and your body needs more energy, or you might have done more work, or whatever it is, more stress, or you haven't slept as much. Like there's so many probably things there.
Definitely. And also, you know, around sport, that's difficult as well, because when you're doing higher intensity sport, your appetite can be suppressed a bit. But you've got to, you know, immediately afterwards. So you've got to balance that and make sure, you know, the next meal that you've caught up a little bit from what you might have missed out on. So again, it's that balance.
And okay to go a little bit outside the plan, listen to your body and the triggers, and it's serving a purpose. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I've loved that setup with you being here, Carly. I know it's probably not necessarily easy, but you know, like your motto, remember back to your episode, was just around about, okay, well, what can you do for others to help them in some areas that you probably didn't think you have? So,
well, I think everyone expects it to be like, oh yeah, I've reached out, I'm getting help. But it's not like that. Like you have to embrace the bad, which no one wants to do. Yeah. But I think it's told like, oh, you just reach out and then like you go and then it all gets fixed. But it's not about fixing. It's about like creating different habits. I think it'll always be there. Yeah. But I think other things can get better to outweigh that.
Yeah. Just managing.
Yeah. Or learning, like education. But people have to be willing to learn as well.
I've got a funny analogy that I say to my clients about eating disorders. This is a bit weird, but go with it. So you know those cheap Kmart bins? Have I said this to you?
This is my favourite.
Yeah.
So the cheap Kmart plastic bins that have the little swingy flip.
Okay.
You know, we've got them in our bathrooms. So when someone first presents to me with a eating disorder, I see this little gremlin sitting, and I see him like a little fuzzy person sitting right on top of that bin, and he's like, that's the eating disorder. Don't you listen to that person. She's going to make you fat. She's going to make you eat all these foods. Don't listen to her. And then
It's true.
as we sort of go through treatment, the little gremlin might slip down the flippy bin and he starts to swing. So he's getting a little bit, whoa, okay, I'm getting a bit uncomfortable here. And we keep on with treatment. And then eventually he plops into the bottom of the bin. And that's like, you're probably in quite a good place, but he's still always there. So the little gremlin can climb up the side of the bin and get out again and come and do something. And that's like a time where exactly what Carly said. I think eating disorders might not go away 100%, but you learn techniques to know, okay, this could be a danger time for me, but I've got techniques to manage that so I can flick the little gremlin back in the bin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I like it.
Yeah.
Again, you know, with I'm fixed or I'm this and it's never going to come back, and then you beat yourself up because you're not good enough because you didn't get rid of it, really. You know, that's always it.
Absolutely.
No, it's been fantastic, Nikki, learning about all this sort of stuff. I love the comfort eating stuff.
Off to the shop.
But optimal intake in South Fremantle, so optimalintake.com.au. They can find you there.
Yes,
it's been fantastic speaking with both you ladies about this, and I really appreciate your time and being so open. It's such an important subject, so it's fantastic to talk about and get rid of, I suppose, some stigmas and so forth.
Definitely.
And all about the relationship with food.
Yeah, very much so.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.